Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Eli Crane roasts this know-nothing Democrat who has no idea just how bad the illegal immigration problem has gotten in our country. Let's dive in.
We can't let this administration continue to criminalize immigrants in order to be able to criminalize any dissent, which is exactly why I think Secretary Noem needs to come before this body and answer questions. I demand that, and with that, I yield back.
Thank you. I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane, for 5 minutes.
My question to you, sir, did President Biden lie to the American people about his actions and authority at the southern border?
He claimed there was nothing else he could do, and then he did more that summer with the executive orders. So clearly he wasn't telling the truth.
Thank you. DHS and CBP fall under the executive branch, meaning Biden always had the authority. He chose to operate the border in the way he did. Would you agree with that, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Blair, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol protection data released February 18, 2025, according to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol protection from January 21st through January 31st, 2025, the number of U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions along the southwest border dropped 85% from the same period in 2024. The number of inadmissible aliens encountered by CBP's Office of Field Operation at ports of entry along the southwest border dropped 93% in the 11 days after January 20th compared with the 11 days prior, and the list goes on and on. My question is, and please answer yes or no, sir, would you agree CBP data suggests that President Trump's first 30 days in office was more effective at stopping illegal immigration than 4 years of Joe Biden?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Rise, my question is, briefly explain what liberal states stand to gain from mass illegal immigration and unchecked parole.
Part of it's head count. They're counted in the census, even though non-citizens can't vote and are not supposed to vote. And then those numbers are used for districting in Congress. And then in turn, those same numbers are also used for the presidential electoral college votes.
Would you agree, ma'am, that redistricting is a major political outcome for Democrats welcoming migrant caravans into their local communities?
Yes, it gives them more head count and therefore more districts.
Would you agree illegal immigration for redistricting is not what the founders intended under Article 1, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution regarding congressional districting?
I agree.
I'd like to play a 20-second recording of a former Homeland Security Committee member. Can we go ahead and play that?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. We have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. We have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the.
Thank you. That was Rep. Yvette Clarke, a Democrat from New York, from January 8th, 2024. Her words outlined Biden's failed plans for illegal immigration to gain political influence. Ms. Rice, you wrote on this issue for Heritage Foundation in February of 2024. The article was titled, "Stop Allowing Non-Citizens to Determine Congressional and Presidential Representation." It was a great piece, and I plan to introduce the article into congressional record at the conclusion of my 5 minutes. The last thing I want to say to Mr. Reichlin Melnick is I find it interesting as I sit here and listen to you blame President Trump and attack President Trump, for saying to the American people that he was going to protect the American people, he was going to put them first, and he was going to implement policies to fix the mess created by the Biden administration. And I just find it rich that you're attacking President Trump for doing exactly what the American people wanted, not the individual who caused this problem. And sadly, if you guys don't figure this issue out, you're going to lose the next election as well. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
That's the game, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. That is the game that the Democrats are playing. And I'll actually try to unpack that a little bit. See, the reason the Democrats have been allowing so many illegal immigrants into this country, particularly under the Biden administration, is that they want to make sure that they have a shot at taking the House of Representatives. They want Congress because they know deep down they'll never take the Senate. Simply put, because our founders were smart enough to realize that our states actually have value, that our states actually matter, and that in a way, land itself is worthy of voting. That's why the Senate has only 100 members, 2 per state, and it's a representation of our actual states themselves. That's been a good plan, and the Democrats hate it. They hate it. They look at the Senate and think that's where all of their problems are. So the only way to get around that is either A, flood the nation with illegal migrants so they can capture one house of Congress, which, by the way, that's how the census data is actually collected. That's how redistricting and apportionment is given. Different states receive different amounts. And because of the way we count even illegal migrants, that gives states like, California and arguably Texas as well. Let's be honest here. But it gives states like California, it gives states like New York, it gives states like Illinois, and yes, even Texas, more voting power. That's what Democrats are so absolutely scared of, is being edged out of Congress. This has only happened to them on a handful of occasions since the 1940s. But it's something that is just terrifies them. And their solution to it is to flood the country with illegal immigrants. Yeah. Really protecting their constituents now, aren't they? So that tells you what the real priorities of the Democrat Party are. But there's a level that gets a little bit worse. And as much as I appreciate Eli Crane calling out this Democrat nonsense, you then have a two-edged sword here. See, Republicans, and I hate to admit this, we like illegal immigration too. And just hear me out. This is what I mean. I'm going to use an example from my own home state of Georgia. Currently, an illegal immigrant was, not currently, but recently, a child, you know what, it's not even right to call her a child. This is already breaking down, I'm sorry. But someone was arrested near Dalton State College. Dalton is the carpet capital of the world, and a police officer correctly pulled her over because she had a violation of some sort while driving on the road. Turns out that she is not here legally. That officer was basically told to resign, or else he was going to get fired. Yeah. In Republican-led Georgia, because of Dalton's carpet mill industry, they were okay with an illegal migrant here who got pulled over and correctly arrested. That officer was then told to take a hike. This isn't just a Democrat thing where they're trying to stack the ballot boxes. This is now a Republican thing because they're trying to skirt American wages, American jobs, people who have come here legally, and people who want to be here. Now, I am not going to vilify this individual person, this student. I'm not going to do that. This person, I think, wants to be an American. This person wants to be here. There's got to be a better solution for this problem, but right now the best one is deportation. And even in Republican Georgia, that won't happen. What that tells me is that there's a bigger problem going on, and that it is across party lines. That's the reason that we have a MAGA movement. That's the reason we have Donald Trump winning 2 elections in the 3 past presidential cycles. We need this reform. We actually need someone to come in and clean up the mess. Democrats do not want it to happen because they're terrified of losing power. Republicans have been looking the other way because either A, they want to feel good about themselves, just like liberals do, because deep down most liberals just hate themselves. This, by the way, the Democrat representative here, there's no way I would ever trust her with anything because I know exactly what she's going to do with her power. But the Republicans here, Eli Crane is calling this out, and correctly so, But there are two kinds of Republicans, or technically three, but in this scenario, there's two. There's the squishy kind that wants to feel good about themselves, just like these rich white liberals do. And then there's the kind that actually want to abuse illegal migrant worker so they can pay their people less. All right, that's the reality, folks. That is the sad truth of the matter. Democrats are abusing a system that needs to be reformed, but Republicans won't do it either. We need not a third party, but we need a group that's going to hold Republicans' feet to the fire. That's the whole point of the big beautiful bill, even though it's got some problems with it. The Republican Party needs to understand that the American people are begging them to deal with this problem. And the complacent Republicans refuse to deal with it. The Democrats want this to fester and continue, and people like Eli Crane are calling out the nonsense through the noise and confusion, and they're telling the truth. Illegal immigration is a problem. Illegal immigration is not fair, particularly to other immigrants. We have got to start dealing with this problem. And we've got to start with deportations. And that's why the Trump administration has been fighting tooth and nail with an entire judicial branch that wants to keep illegal immigrants here in the country. This is madness. This doesn't benefit anyone other than the sensibilities of rich white liberals and their crony conservatives. All right, and remember, crony conservatives. I think that's a phrase that needs to be coined here because squishy Republicans doesn't quite work, but crony conservatives. I think that's a way to start dealing with the people that aren't getting with the program. We must reform our immigration system. We need to deport people, or we need to find another way. So let me know what the solution is down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one.